All right, I'm gonna pin myself because I'm so tiny right now. Okay, and then gallery for me. Okay, can everyone see me? Okay, good, perfect. Okay, because I made me tiny again, so I was like, I can never tell. Anyway, so hi guys, welcome back. So like Miss Katie said, we are going to review the ABCs first. There's two different ways we can go about it. Well, I say this, but really I think we're going to end up doing both. First one is we're going to do the ABCs A through Z together. I'm going to do what we did last week, which is where I'm going to say the letter and you guys get that opportunity to sign it first. Sorry, my dog just whined and it threw me off for a minute. Anyways, what I was saying, so then after that, what I was thinking we could do is I can finger spell a few words and kind of give you guys that like receptive like practice. So you guys can, what we'll do is I'll finger spell and then you guys can type in the chat. Let me actually open that chat so I can see everything. You can type in the chat what I've said, what I spelled. Sound good? I'm just gonna warn you guys, today was not a bad day. It was just a long day. So I may have like word vomit where I cannot get a word out right. If I do, I apologize. I'm just letting you guys know. Sometimes my like after signing all day, it's like I cannot actually like properly talk English. So if something doesn't make sense, please just let me know and I'll repeat myself. Okay, so the first we're going to start with is the ABCs. So I'm going to say the letter, like I said, and then you guys go ahead. So A. Perfect. B. Whoop, I did it when I said it. Awesome. Okay. C. D. Oh, y'all been practicing. E. Good. Sorry, I know I'm taking a long time. There's so many of you. I'm like going through my list. Like, has everyone got it? F. Good. G. Good. H. I. Good. J. So remember, with the J, you want to keep it with your pinky still, making that J motion. K. K. So remember, it's like the V. You bring your middle finger forward and you put your thumb between them. Excuse me, guys. I'm really sorry. My dog keeps whining. I want to make sure he's okay. Miss Katie, do you think you can go ahead and just say the letters and let them review real quick?
I think I can do that.
Okay, thank
Okay. Okay, we'll go to L. And yep. And then M. Okay. N. Oh, wait a minute. I'm not pausing a minute. Okay. O. Yep. O. And then P. Yep. P. And Q. Q. Yep. R. And I'll hand it back to you, Jillian.
Yes, thank you. Sorry. He's all good. Being dramatic. That's what he is. He doesn't usually whine as often during class. So I was like, okay, that's a lot more uncommon, but we're good. Okay, so you guys finished on R? Okay, perfect. All right. S. S. There's so many of y'all. Yes, perfect. All right. T. Good. U. Perfect. V. W. X. X. So remember, pirate. Think of the X marks the spot and pirate. All right, then Y. And Z. Good. Oh my goodness, you guys. Y'all almost like pretty much would have got a 90% on your little test grade. Just saying. Because you guys got them mostly right, and I'm so proud. Okay. So now what we're gonna do is I'm going to fingerspell words. Like usually what I start with is like a 3-letter word, and then I go to a 4, 5, and then by the end of it, I kind of get a big word just to give you guys that exposure, just to kind of see. So we'll probably do about 10 problems. And then after that, if you guys are feeling confident and feeling comfortable with fingerspelling, we'll move on to numbers. Sound good? Okay. So number 1. Okay, I'm going to fingerspell it again. Okay, let me see. I forget this. Like, I know I say this so many times, but like Miss Katie's probably mentioned, we usually don't have a big class like this. So I was like, oh my goodness, like I'm getting so many like little pips, and I was like, oh, that's a lot. But I think we got everybody's. So yes, so that was cat. Okay. Yes, I know. Isn't it the cutest thing with the whiskers? I'm obsessed with this sign for cat. So we will be learning animals later on, which is always a fun one, but yeah, kitty cat. Okay, y'all ready for number 2? Okay, so this one might be a little bit of a challenge because I think you guys have gotten it. So I want to kind of give you guys, it's still short, it's a 3-letter one, but it's a little bit complicated. Here we go. Or not, because you guys are typing that ridiculously fast. Perfect. Wow. Okay. So I guess that is not a challenge anymore. That's too easy. I'm telling you, either the married couples have been practicing together and then everyone else has just really been practicing on their own. Like you guys are just being champs right now at this. Okay. Number 3. So we're going to have this one be a 4-letter word. Okay. All right. I'm sorry. My family, my brother is in Panama right now, out of the country for some reason. So they keep texting and I'm trying to like get them to stop, but they keep texting me. And that's why I keep swiping. All right. Our number 3. Turn so I see better. Okay, I'm gonna do it again. Perfect, you guys. Okay, so number 4, ready? If you couldn't tell, sometimes I get kitchen related signs because that's what I'm facing. So all I can think about is, oh, that's a good word. Let's do this word. I do it every class, like every time. It's really bad. I try to think outside the box and then I still zero back in on the kitchen. So I try to, but it doesn't always work. All right. Number, so it's 5 or 6? Think 5. Okay. Number 5. Okay, I'm gonna do it again. Okay, good. All right, awesome. Okay, number 6. All right, ready? This one's gonna be kind of a bigger one. I'm gonna start a little bit earlier on the bigger ones because you guys are doing them so fast, which is great. But I just want to challenge y'all. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna do it again. Oh, good. Oh, goodness, you guys are rocking this. Okay. All right, I think this one's a hard one. I think this one would take me a minute, but you know what? You guys are flying through this, so maybe not. But our number 7 is going to be this word, okay? Ready? Okay, I'm going to do it again. Just trying to think of a hard one. Usually, whenever you get like, there's the few letters that everyone's like, okay, I got this. And then there's like the U's that kind of throw people off. I was trying, you guys, but I think y'all figure out. I don't know if you're also doing this, but one of the nice things that I always like when practicing with finger spelling is after the first few letters, you can kind of guess what the word's going to be, you know? So as Katie said in the chat, if you can't see it, she said on her first try, she got use nail instead of utensil. She got use nail. So she's just saying, just in case anyone feels like they're struggling, that it's okay. It's okay. I used to struggle in the beginning with like receptively catching my finger spellings. Like there are still words to this day. I have a new coworker who introduced herself and she finger spelled her name. Was not the I thought it was this name. And then I sent it to another coworker and she was like, who? And then I realized I did not catch her name fully spelled correctly. That was an accident that literally happened today. And I was very like, I am so sorry, but got solved fast, and that was perfect. So, but it's natural and happens for everybody. Okay. So, number 8. I got to think of a big one. You guys are doing it so fast and so easy. I'm like, I have to think of big words, which is kind of hard sometimes, because you got to put yourself on that spot. Let's see. Okay. I have one. All right, let's see if this one will get y'all. All right, ready? Okay, I'm gonna do it again. Okay, good. Yeah, so our broccoli. Don't know why that came to my mind, but it did. All right. Okay, let's see. Number 9. Oh, okay, I have a big one. I know I keep saying that and then they're not really that big, but this one I promise is actually a big one. Okay, so number 9. Okay, I'm gonna do it again. I think everyone's finished, but I'm still gonna finish finger spelling it, y'all. All right. Wow. I mean, you guys are literally rocking this. Like there's always a few people that are like, okay, wait a minute. Try to remember my letters, especially when I added that G and that H. I know that can get people, but you guys got it. Okay. Number 10, our last one, because it also seems like you guys got this. All right, ready? Okay. I'm going to finger spell it again because I know I went fast with that one. I kind of wanted to see. I'll do it again. I might have added a D in there on accident. The stress of finger spelling slowly in front of people makes me always like change my letters. But anyways. Yeah, I did. I added a D, didn't I? Mean, wait. Yeah, I did. Everyone's getting it. All right, I'm gonna finger spell it once more. Sorry, I was catching everyone doing it. Now I feel like I'm spelling it wrong. Oh, goodness. In case y'all didn't know, I'm not an English teacher. I'm a math teacher. Spelling, not always my strongest suit, especially slow. It makes me like always think fridge, refrigerator, fridge, and like I go back and forth. So that's why I added that D there. But once I saw people start adding that question, I went, "Ooh, wait, did I spell this wrong?" And I did. I will admit blame on that. Sorry, you guys. All right. So I know that one was kind of a weird one, but the gist of it was that you knew the word I was trying to finger spell, even if I did add a D. All right. So now we are going to move on to our numbers. And I think the first good sign to always show is the sign for number itself. So the sign for number is you're going to have kind of these like, I always say like almost like hand puppets. And you're going to have them together and then you go number, number, number. Right. So if you're doing number one and all through that, you'll do this number. Okay. So I typically like to say that 1 through 5, pretty much easy, except for it's pretty much everything you know, except 3 is slightly different. So we have obviously our 1, 2, 3 is going to be, instead of doing this, you're going to do this with the thumb out. 3. And you'll see why it's this way instead of the other way in just a second. So then after that, 4, 5. Now, for 6 through 7, what you're going to do is you're going to go 6, and then 7 is going to be your ring finger going down. Then 8 is now the middle finger going down. 9 is your pointer finger. And then 10. So when you're doing your numbers 6 through 10, I always like to use this kind of example to help you like think of what your number would be. Is you start building your hand up. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then what you do with your 6 through 10 is you're going to kind of start making your way back to your thumb. So 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so let's go 1 through 10 together. And then after that, what I'll do is I'm going to do that same thing where I voice it and give you guys the spell, you guys sign it. And then we'll move on to 11 through 20. Okay. All right. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we have one question that was asking, does it matter if your palm is facing out or in? Really, you would rather face it outward. The reason for that is because your numbers 11 through 9, well, really, I guess 11 through 15 are going to show the back of your hand. So it just makes it a little bit easier to see. But so most of the time you would do this. And then also later on with, I'll explain it, but I'm not going to go into too much in depth because that's usually more like a higher level. Oh, that is a perfect question. I was waiting to see if someone would ask that, but I'll come to that. is that when you're doing like placements, like first place, second place, you would add that motion where you turn the back of your hand. So it's easy to do if you're doing 1, 2, 3. It can get kind of confusing. Are you saying one or are you saying first? So you typically want to keep your hand out, facing out. The other question is there a difference between the letter F and the number 9? So there actually isn't. This is F, this is 9, same sign. It's the same for W and 6. The way you would make a difference about that is 2 ways. One is usually context will kind of support that. So like, for example, if you're talking about your phone number, and you're saying, well, my phone number is blah, 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 and you say this, most people are going to assume this does not mean the letter F. It's meaning the number 9. Or if you're saying, like your age and you're saying, we wouldn't, but if you're saying someone was 9 years old, they're not going to think you're saying, oh, they're F years old. Like that doesn't make sense. So context usually supports that. But if things like passwords or like usernames or stuff like that, what you would do is you would add that number sign before the 9. And then for the letter, you would do letter. So it's an L on your pointer finger. So like if you were saying, I'm trying to make up something. Letter F 3, 6, 9. We're multiplying in class. Sorry. That's why my brain's doing 3, 6, 9. I would do like 3, 6, number 9, things like that. So that's how you would add that difference. But that only, like I said, really comes down to when you're having things that are going to have both in them. So you don't have to worry about if you're fingerspelling going letter, like if you're saying, like friend or fun, and you go letter F-U-N, you don't have to. You could just do F-U-N. Okay. Now, let's go through 1 through 10 again. And I'm going to just say it and you guys are going to sign it. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, good, 9, good, 10. Good. So you could tell I went really fast through the first few. And then once I got to 6, 7, 8, 9, those are usually what get people. All right. So now we're going to move on to numbers 11 through, we'll do 11 through 15. We'll kind of chunk it in those 5. So what you're going to do for 11 is you're going to have the back of your hand show and you're going to flick your pointer finger up. 11. Okay. You're going to do the same thing for 12, but now with 2 fingers. 12. Some people will do this like almost like the come here motion, 11, 12. It's not as common seen, but I'm just letting you guys know that if you do see that, that can mean 12. I like to kind of give that exposure on signs that may see someone do differently. Signs can change, not often like that, like not big signs, like big differences, but around regions and also generations. It's kind of like if you think about how, the generation now will be saying like words like that's cap, things like that. And that's kind of like how it can be in ASL is where it's like, well, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense, or that's different. It kind of changes as it grows and molds and continues. So just like to throw those out there when I see them, like, oh, it's older, newer, whichever. Like I was saying, so we have our 12. For 13, you are going to do that come here motion, but with your thumb sticking out. 13. Then 14 is going to be 4 fingers. Your thumb is now back behind your hand, like in the inside, and you're going to do 14. Then 15 is going to be your thumb sticking out in that motion again. 15. Okay. So let's go 1 through 15, 11 through 15 again. So we had our 11. Then we had 12. Then 13. Then 14. And then 15. Trying to keep my hand from, I know I'm starting to angle and I'm trying to keep myself straight. Okay. So we're gonna go through 16 through 19, and then after that, I will have us go through it all again, and then I'll voice it and you guys sign it. Okay, so for 16 through 19, the way it goes is there's technically two ways you can do it. I'm gonna show you both. Both are accepted, both can be used. I don't always see one more than the other as much, especially when learning ASL. It just kind of depends on preference. So the first one for 16 is you're going to have a 6 and you shake it. So it's 16. The other option is you do 16. I'll bring my hand closer, and you bounce your pinky back and forth on your thumb. 16. This one can be kind of an awkward, like uncomfortable one when you're first learning. You're like, what is that? That like hurts. That's why most of the time people, when they're starting to learn ASL, they do the shaking. I did the shaking. Like I was like, I'm gonna break my pinky doing this. So no, thank you. And I shook for a while. And then I ended up, now I do this one. This is the only way I'll do 16. Like in my mind, when I respond, it's always 16. Okay. Then 17, it's going to be those same motions, but now with the number 7. So 17, 17. All right. Then we have 18, 8, shaking it, 18, or 18. Okay. Then 19 is going to be that 9, shaking it, or 19. Okay. So from 16 through 19, I'm trying to look at the time. Okay, so it's 6 o'clock. How well do you guys feel on your 11 through 15, 11 through 19? Instead of me having repeatedly every chunking it, what I'll do is I'll kind of put them together so we can go through some more numbers. Does that sound good with you guys? Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to voice and have you guys say the number, and then we'll move on to 20 through 25. Okay. 11, 11. So I have a flick up. No, there's no specific on how many times you flick up. It's just that motion itself. So if you do like, I would do more than two, like one. So it's not just because that one motion actually means understand. But if you do like a couple of flicks like that, it'll be 11. But there's not a specific, you have to do this 11 times or anything like that. Then 12. Okay. So our 12 is the 2 flick up. Yeah. And then 13. 13. So remember, it's the 3 with the thumbs, the 2 fingers with your thumb sticking out. 13. It's okay. I've seen people do like this before because it's so used to being like, well, 3, and then you make that motion. That's a hard habit to break, is making that 3 instead of a 3 to being a 3. That's a hard habit. Once you break it though, oh, it's great. Just saying. I'm totally biased. I love this 3. All right, then we have 14. 14. And then 15. 15. Okay, then 16. 16 or 16. Then 17. 17 or 17. Then 18. 18 or 18. Then 19. 19 or 19. All right. Okay. So now 21 through 25 is going to be, oh, I never even said my favorite part, which I mean, y'all have already known now, is that I love that fact that you can go all the way up to 99, no, really 999 on one hand. You don't actually need two hands until 1,000. I usually add that before, but I don't know. I just didn't think about that. That's like one of my favorite little things about this. Okay. So for 20, what you're going to do for 20 is you're going to go 20. So it's like you're doing baby shark. That's always what I think of, is like baby shark. Okay. So now for 21 through 24, really 21, 23, and 25 have their 21, 23, 25 have their own signs. 22 and 24 are how you're going to sign pretty much the rest of the numbers after that, all the way up to 99. So for 21, you're going to make this L shape, and then you're going to bounce your thumb, 21. Okay. For 22, what you're going to do is you're going to make that 2 shape, and you're going to go 2, 2. Excuse me, 22, 22. Yeah, so it's just basically point blank saying 2, 2, 2. For 23, you'll make this 3 motion, and your middle finger is going to bounce, 23. Then we have, I'm sorry guys, if y'all can hear my dogs, he's being ridiculous, being nosy, and I'm trying to ignore him. If he gets to be too much, please let me know and I will let them in, but like I'm ignoring it, so I just want to make sure. All right, 24 is going to be like we did 22, which is 2, 4, 24. Okay, and then 25. So 25, we're going to have this whole hand. Your middle and your ring finger are going to bounce, 25. 25. Okay. So for numbers like 26 through 29, you're going to do that same bouncing, 26, 27, 28, 29. And that's kind of what you'll keep doing all the way up to 99. Typically for our like zeros, like 30, 40, 50, what you'll do is you'll go 3 to a 0, 30, 40, 50. It's like you pull it and come back into a 0, 5, 0. 60, 70, 80, 80, 90. Okay, so we'll do 20 through 25, and then we'll go over the tens again, and then after that, I will show you guys 100. Okay, I know I'm throwing a lot of numbers at you guys, but really 100, 1,000, and a million, those three, there's just one sign I show you for each of them, and then it's kind of like the same sort of motion again. So don't stress, I promise, we're not going all the way up to a million where you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I've learned a million numbers. Like you'll learn the process to get to a million numbers. Okay, so we had our 20. Then 21, 21. Then 22, is that bounce 2, 2, 22. And if all else fails, if you can't remember 21, 23 things, that's like things like that, you can do that bounce 2, 1. No one's going to look at you and go, I have no idea what you're talking about. They know you mean 21. So that's always a nice little backup. And then we had our 23, 23. Then 24, 24. And then 25, 25. Okay. So then for our 10 numbers, like 30, we would do 3 to a 0. So 3, 0. And I always make like almost like a full-on 0. Like I'm not pulling it back into a fist. I'm putting it into an actual 0. 30. 40. 50. 60. 70. 80. 90. Okay. How are you guys feeling in your numbers? Pretty much 1 through 99-ish in that sense. Feeling good? So 0, I do this every class. This is 0. I skip 0 every single class without fail. I don't know why I do it, but I do. So yeah, this is our
So
0.
wait, is it a number? Is 0 a number? This is the philosophy portion of our language class.
I mean, I think it is, but also like if you have nothing,
Have
like,
you seen that documentary on Netflix about infinity? It's
oh,
not
I
about
don't think
zero. Oh my gosh, it's so good.
I think I would spiral. I think I would sit there and be like, my eyes would be just blinking like I can't with this anymore. I would get so lost in that. Numbers is an easy one to forget if you don't like if that's not something you're around as often. See, I luck out as a math teacher. I'm always signing numbers. Like without fail, I'm always talking about numbers. So that is kind of a challenge. I like to when I'm doing is I like to whenever I'm just kind of like I said, I think I've said this with the ABCs, is like when I'm sitting and waiting somewhere, is I'll just start to randomly count. Like and I'll just keep going and seeing how long I can go or how fast I can go. So that's always a great way to practice numbers. Just a little tidbit there that might could help doing things like that. Or even like I've practiced my phone number, like finger spelling phone numbers, or I love the song, 8675309, like Jenny. What's Jenny's number? Is I will practice that with the song. Like I've tried to keep up beat. You guys, once you try that, it is really hard to actually make sure you're saying all the numbers within beat. It's a fun practice though. So if you have any songs that have numbers in them, listen to them and try to finger spell with them. It's really fun, really hard, takes a while because it took me a very long time to get Jenny's number correct. So, but I think it's fun. Okay, so what we'll what we'll do next is we're going to do 100, 1,000, and a million. Okay, so for 100, what you're going to do is pretty much what we've kind of been doing with our numbers, except now you're going to add this C. So like 100 is a 1, and you pull it back into a C. So like I'm gonna turn it sideways, so like I started as a 1 and I come back. 100, 100. Excuse me. So if you were going to say like 900, you would do 900. If you wanted to do a number like 832, what you do is you do 832. Now, some will keep you, it's not really the biggest end of the world if you don't move your numbers across, like slide it across. If you just do 832, that's not going to make a big difference or get as confusing rather than doing 832, like how I slide it. Either way works. I would suggest if you are doing a longer, bigger number, like a phone number, maybe making that sliding motion just to help that visual seeing of what's the next number. But if you're just talking about, well, I have 32 buttons or something like that. I know that's very random, but like saying like 32 buttons, something like that, 32 is not going to be as big impact if you had to slide it across or keep it straight. I hope that makes sense. If it's not, please let me know and I will clarify better. Okay. So after that, then for our 1,000, what you're going to do is now we do need our other hand. So your dominant hand's going to have this up, like kind of do the movement. Your non-dominant is going to be palm up. So I'm going to turn it sideways so you can see palm up. What you're going to do is you're going to go 1,000 and you're going to go at the palm, like at the base of your hand, 1,000. Let me turn it sideways so you can see it, 1,000. So 1,000. Like I said, you can get all the way 999 before you have to do this two-handed. So 1,000. The same thing if you had to do 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, and so on. So if you were going to do something like 4,321, makes it easy for me to remember, is you're going to go 4,300. You can do 21 or 21. You can do either way. I would probably suggest at the moment doing that 4,321, putting them out just to help you get used to that. Okay. And then after 1,000,000, I promise we'll review it. I know I'm going fast, but I'm trying to get it all for y'all. So for 1,000,000, it's very similar to 1,000. You'll have your hand still palm up. You're going to do that one. You're going to do your bounce on here for 1,000, and you're going to bounce it forward to like the top before your hand becomes finger, your palm becomes fingers. So 1,000,000. Million. Million. 1,000,000. I always like to add this little funny story that one of my students in my 6th grade class, like a couple of years ago, would do is whenever he was talking about his grandma and like her age, he would say she is one, and then he would keep bouncing. He would say, like, not only was she 1,000,000, but she's bum, 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 bum. She keeps going. She's so old, she's ancient. And it was one of my favorite stories, is he would just keep like, it's just, the number is so big, it just keeps going. And it's kind of like, with kids when they go 1,000,000,000, trillion, zillion, million, when they say all those random numbers, just as big a number, it's the same thing in sign. And it's just that keeps the bouncing. And I think it's just such a cool thing. And seeing how similar ASL and English can be in that, or really with kids in language with that, is such a cool thing. So, okay, let's now do our hundreds again. So we have our 100. 100. And then we had our thousands, which was that 1,000. And then our 1,000,000. 1,000,000. 1,000,000. So I'm going to show you guys just how you would write a full big number if it was 1,234,567. I'm going to sign it. You do not have to copy me. Okay. I'm just going to show you the concept of how you would do it. Is you do 1,234,000. So you just do the motion. 567. And I would recommend sliding a little bit with that one to help visually see what number you're saying. Because if you just keep in that same 1,234,567, it could get jumbled easily. So if you slide it, it helps keep your place and also their place. Does anybody have any questions on our numbers? I know I kind of went fast through that, but I wanted to make sure we got through all the numbers so you guys at least have that there, even as just a resource. So any questions, anything like that? Trying to see, I think.
Yes, could you do the number that you just did again and repeat 23, please?
So the big number that was 1,200,000. Okay, wanted to make sure. I'm gonna try to go slow with it. So you would do that 1,234,567. So I was just doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I thought that'd be an easier. Every time I try to throw random numbers, I lose my place and then I sign it wrong. So I tried it as like this one I can keep up. So you would just kind of make the motions with it. You would add the 1,000, the hundreds, the millions. I said thousands, the millions, the hundreds, 1,000, 100 again. Does that make sense? I know that's a big number. I typically recommend don't stress too much on the big numbers, as long as you know that this is that million, this is 1,000, this is 1,000, and this is 100. As long as you know those three with the big numbers, you should be fine. Like most of the time, I don't always see people always signing really big numbers like that. It's usually more in a work setting, which is specifically for big numbers. So if you forget those, that's okay. Because you can always say and ask people, like you can go like this again. I've had to do that a few times when they were spelling a number, signing a number, because I couldn't catch this part. So I was like, is this 1,000 or is this 100? What is this? Because it was a really big number for a big project. And then they said, and I was like, okay, caught it. And so that's, I wouldn't stress too much. If you're kind of struggling for a bit, that you can practice later on. For 23, like you said, so 23 is going to be that 3 motion again, and your middle finger right here is going to bounce. 23. The reason for that is because here's your 2, 1, 2, and then your 3. So 23. There's that bouncing of the 23. And like I said, if all else fails and you cannot remember this still works. 23, 23. That'll still, they'll still know what you're saying. That's one of the things I love about ASL is that if you forget the sign of something or you forget the letter or whatever, you can ask people, not the letter. But if you forget, like I'm talking about a sentence about apples and I forget the sign for apple, I can go APPLE, what? And they'll give you the sign most of the time. Most of people are very friendly and very happy to see other people learning ASL. So they're usually most of the time willing to help with showing you signs, and doing different things. So as long as you can get like that ABCs down, you can have a very short conversation. I mean, you can have a long one, but I'm just going to warn you, your hand's going to hurt. That's a lot of finger spelling. So, but okay. So how are we feeling right now? We have about 10 minutes left. What we can do is we can do 2 things. Ow, I just elbowed my table. We can practice numbers where I sign numbers and you guys can type them. Or we can, because there's still going to be that quiz. Oh, sorry. Miss Katie said, how would you show a decimal in ASL? So a decimal would be the same thing as how you would do a period, which is period. It's like a little, like you're holding like a little pin and you just poke. So if you're saying like the number for pi, 3.1, I did my 214. So that would be, you would just go 3 point, like it's almost like you're actually drawing it on point. But yeah, that's a good question. We've never done that one before. All right. Oh, what I was saying. So I can sign some numbers to you guys, or we can already kind of go ahead and start a little bit more on our time signs. I won't go into in depth. It would just be kind of like, oh my goodness, excuse me, I'm having all the hiccups. Today, now, tomorrow, yesterday, and then maybe the second, minute, hour, day. And see how far we go with that. Would y'all prefer to just go ahead with the time or review the numbers? And like I said, we do have, I think, a numbers quiz already too. Would y'all rather just go through time? Time? Okay. Perfect. I didn't want to throw everything and you sit there going, she gave me too much. My brain's going to explode from it. I didn't want to stress y'all, but all right, perfect. Well, you guys now know the sign for time, which is time. All right, good. So now the sign for today, what you're going to do is you're going to have 2 Y's. You're going to turn them facing up and you kind of have them flat. Like you're not showing just the back of your hand. You're like showing like almost like where your knuckles are. And what you're going to do is you're going to bounce this twice today. If you do it more, like you keep going this, it's not like if you do like 3, they're not going to be like, I have no idea what you said. No, they're going to know you're still meaning today. You just don't want to do one time because that is now. So today, now. I like to think about now as when you get in trouble with your mother and she's saying, you know, come here right now. Like it's final. Like it's just, you better be here. I don't know why that's what made it click for me, but that's what it did. So I just always think about just, you better be here now. Then we have tomorrow. So tomorrow is going to be our thumbs up. You're going to have your thumb go in the corner of your mouth and you're going to go tomorrow. 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 What you'll notice is that most of any of the signs that are in the future are going to be in front of you, further ahead. Anything that is present is going to be right now, like around your body. And then anything in the past is going to be behind you. I always visually think about yourself on an actual timeline and how you're always walking towards the future. Your past is behind you. You're right here. That's the visual I always think about when I'm talking about time and things like that. Okay. So we had our tomorrow and then yesterday. There are two ways you can sign yesterday. The first one is that thumb in the corner of your mouth, and you're going to bring it back to your ear. Yesterday. Yesterday. The other one is very similar, but instead of it just being this, it's going to be a Y. Yesterday. Yesterday. I don't know if I've gone into, I don't think I have yet. It's only class 2, but I think I have actually ASL and signing exact English, that kind of comment about how there's two different well, there's more than a few languages. There's one that's more ASL and one that's a little bit more English. This Y is more English. But what's interesting is that actually I see more people do this than yesterday. Like even my deaf coworkers, everybody, typically I see this more yesterday. Okay, so let's go back through time today, now, tomorrow, and yesterday. So we have our time. And I know I get called on this a lot. My watch is on my left wrist, but I tap on my right. I'm one of those weird lefties who has their watch on their left wrist instead of their right. I just had to point that out there. I get called on this a lot because they're like, why are you tapping on a non-existent watch when your watch is right here? It's a weird thing for me. So then we have today, 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 and then now. Now. Just feels so final. I don't know what it is. Just that one hit. It's like just so final to me, y'all. Now. Then we have tomorrow. Tomorrow. I always make it where it almost looks like I'm having like sucking my thumb as a kid, like a baby. And then I'm bringing it up to a thumbs up. Tomorrow. Tomorrow. And then yesterday. 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 Good. Okay. All right. So about 5 minutes. I think we can get through our parts of the time. So for our second, it's going to be, bear with me on this. It's always a weird one. You're going to have your non-dominant palm sideways, kind of like this. Your dominant is going to be in that pointer finger position. You're going to put your dominant hand on top. And typically it's sideways like this. I'm going to turn it so you can see what my hand's doing, but most of the time it'll be this way. Okay. What you're going to do is very slightly bounce your hand back and forth. Think of like a grandfather clock. And when they're like the little, I don't know my grandfather clock parts, but the part with that swaying back and forth is that kind of motion. And you want to make it kind of small. You don't want to go big. You want it just kind of small, just barely. I know that's kind of like, wow, that's just really tiny. There's a reason. So this is our seconds. Then minutes, same position right here. Minutes can be bouncing back and forth. But also, this is a more common one, is minute. So it's like you have your non-dominant pointing at your palm and you shake it once. Minute. So 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes. Like I hit it and then I shake. This one's a more common one I've seen. This is still minute, but this one is like the biggest, like this one I see every day. 11 minutes, 13 minutes, things like that. Okay. Then we're going to do hour. Hours again in that same position. Now you're going to make a full circle. Hour. And it's really not the end of the world, whichever way you do, backwards, forwards. I always kind of recommend going forward because time does go forward instead of backwards. But it's not going to say, okay, well, if you're saying this, that means an hour back. No, that's not what that's going to mean. It's just they're still going to know you're talking about an hour. So hour. Okay. Then we have day. So day is going to be, you're going to have your non-dominant sideways like this. Your dominant is going to be here at the top. I'm going to try to back up a little. You can have it in this pointer position of a D, or you can just have it kind of closed. What you're going to do is you're going to go day. You're just going to bring it all the way through. Day. Okay. Then we have week. Well, actually, you know what? We're going to stop right there with that. The reason for that is we can do week, month, year next week. There's a few things I'll add with that. So let's go. So for 24 hours, you could do 24 hours, is you just make the number 24 hours. Depending on what kind of context, because like that also means a day, you know, it just kind of depends on what you're specifically wanting to say. So like if you're saying, well, I've been awake for 24 hours, I've been up. Well, that actually would get complicated. I'm gonna hold that one. Don't let me forget that. I will explain how you would do that next class, because that is a whole nother sign of how you would say being up all night, pretty much. But I will explain that one. But yeah, you would just add your numbers. So like if, you know, you've been busy for, I don't know, I'm just putting in numbers, 36 hours, I would do 3, 6, then that hours. You can, for your smaller numbers, like 7, 8, you can do 7 hours, 8 hours. You can add that number to your hand motion. But I would say pretty much after 9 hours, I would go 10 hours, like keep them separate. So let's real quick, and then I promise I'll let y'all go back through second, minute, hour, day. Okay. So we have our second, the itty little hand motion. Then we have minute, which can be minute or minute. And then we had hour. And then day. Okay. I know I threw a lot at you at that very end. Next week, what we'll do is we'll do stuff like every day, and then weekly, next week, last week, days of the week. Please do not let me forget that. I will forget that if you don't let me. We'll do stuff like that. And then I think our not next class, but the class after that. What day is that, Miss Katie? Do you know? Not next week's. Okay, the 24th. Perfect. On the 24th, what we'll do is we're going to have that be our special fun Halloween signs because it's the Halloween month. Y'all are very lucky. It's one of my favorite ones, and I think it's one of Miss Katie's too. It's a really fun time. So we'll have that one on our 24th class meeting is the Halloween signs. And so, yeah, that'll just be a fun little one. Not everyone gets the Halloween signs because not every class happens during Halloween. So, but yes, we will work more on our time next week. All right. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of y'all's week. I will see you guys next Tuesday. If you have any questions, please feel free to email Miss Katie or hold it for next class. All right.
Awesome.
Bye, guys.
Bye, everybody.